If you enjoy the stories I share here, please consider subscribing. It really helps me keep creating more. Thank you so much for your support. Now, let's dive into today's story. I was staring at the dress I had bought for our engagement photo shoot when it hit me that I had ruined everything. The most painful part? He didn't shout. He didn't cry. He didn't even ask me why. He simply disappeared, as if I had never been part of his life. His name was Nolan. We first crossed paths during my final year of college. I was drowning in exhaustion, balancing night shifts with early morning lectures, barely managing to keep myself together. Nolan was the teaching assistant for my marketing class. He had sharp blue eyes and a relaxed smile that made heads turn whenever he walked into the room. I noticed him, of course, but I wasn't looking for anything serious. I had just escaped a toxic relationship, and the last thing I wanted was to fall in love again. But Nolan wasn't like the others. He stayed after class to help me prepare for finals. Sometimes he brought me coffee, sometimes snacks. He never crossed a line, until one rainy evening after a group study session. He offered to walk me home. When we stopped at my door, he looked so uncertain, like he wanted something but was afraid to ask. I kissed him first. That moment changed everything. From there, we spent 3 years building a life together. We moved into a tiny apartment, fought over closet space, and argued about what to name the cat we adopted. He landed a job at a downtown digital agency, while I launched my own social media consulting business. We encouraged each other through every hurdle. But over time, a restlessness began to grow inside me. I'd scroll through photos of friends traveling, partying, living wildly, and I felt like I had skipped that part of life. I had gone straight from one relationship into another, never experiencing independence, never being truly on my own. Then came Leo. He was a client, confident, bold, the complete opposite of Nolan. He wore tailored suits and casually mentioned yachts and private parties as if they were routine. His flirting was obvious, and at first, I brushed it off. But the more I compared Nolan's worn t-shirts and grocery lists stuck to the fridge with Leo's glamorous lifestyle, the more I felt like I had settled. It wasn't love with Leo. Not even lust, at the beginning. It was the thrill, the attention, the spark of being desired, the intoxicating rush of feeling visible again. I told myself it was harmless. Just playful banter. A dinner here. A hotel night there. I always came back to Nolan, cooked dinner, asked about his day, kissed him goodnight. I convinced myself I could keep those two worlds separate. But lies always find a way to bleed through. The first time Nolan asked me if something was wrong, I snapped, telling him I was just stressed. He didn't press. He never did. He was endlessly patient, endlessly trusting. Until the night he came home early. I was on the bed, frantically deleting Leo's messages, photos, voice notes, locations, when Nolan walked in. I hadn't even heard the door. When I looked up, he was standing there. He hadn't seen or heard anything incriminating yet, but my guilt was written all over me. He asked what I was doing. I said, nothing. He just nodded, slowly, and walked away. That night, he barely touched his dinner. The next morning, he left before I woke up. From then on, he changed. He smiled less, stopped reaching for me in bed, but never accused me. Never questioned. Instead, he began vanishing, coming home late, taking weekend trips to visit his sister. But I wasn't sure he was really with her. That uncertainty should have terrified me, but instead I felt oddly relieved, like the pressure had lifted. And so I sank deeper into the chaos. I spent weekends with Leo, lying to Nolan about work trips and conferences. And still, he never confronted me. Never looked through my phone. Never demanded answers. His silence became unbearable. One evening, I walked in to find Nolan in the kitchen, cooking dinner as though nothing was wrong. The cat circled his leg, music played softly. I broke down crying. He didn't move, didn't scold me, didn't comfort me. He simply turned off the stove and waited until I was done. Then he said, "If you have something to say, say it." I said nothing. I was too much of a coward. I convinced myself I could fix it. That if I ended things with Leo, maybe I could win back what Nolan and I once had. I blocked Leo, deleted every trace of him, even threw away the lingerie he had given me. I begged Nolan to take a week off so we could escape somewhere, rebuild what was broken. He agreed. We went to a cabin in the mountains. He brought books. I brought champagne. He was quiet, polite, distant, but I clung to the hope that this was our chance. We even made love once, but afterward he didn't kiss me. He simply rolled onto his back and stared at the ceiling. When we returned, I thought things were improving. I even told my friends I was lucky, that I had almost lost the best man I'd ever known. But I had no idea Nolan had already made his decision. A week later, I came home to find our apartment empty. His clothes, his books, even the cat, gone. On the kitchen table was an envelope. Inside, a note. You had the kind of life people dream about, and you burned it. I won't waste another moment trying to salvage what you shattered. Don't call. Don't come looking. We're strangers now. No anger. No accusations. Just finality. And he meant it. I tried everything. Calls, emails, texts. Nothing. I reached out to his sister. She blocked me. I even waited outside his office once, and when he walked out, he saw me but didn't pause. He simply turned and walked the other way. He erased me as if I had never existed. And the truth is, I deserve it. I used to imagine that one day he'd return, that he'd see how sorry I was, that he'd believe I had changed. But he never looked back. And now, whenever I see a man at the grocery store reading the back of a cereal box the way Nolan used to, I remember what I lost. I ruined our future. And he left so quietly, so completely, that it feels like I was never even a part of his life at all.